Hi, and welcome back to the Save It for Parts channel. This week, I'm driving a boat around Southeast Alaska. So we've rented this 42-foot Nordic tug from Auke Adventures in Juneau, Alaska, and we've come out here to Funter Bay, where I grew up. We're gonna take a day to poke around, and then we're going to continue on our adventure down Chatham Strait through Southeast Alaska and see where we end up. Earlier this summer, 6 friends and I rented a boat in Southeast Alaska for a 9-day adventure. I've been showing off some of the videos from this trip on my YouTube channel, but I just wanted to do a quick tour of what the boat looks like. This boat is a 42-foot long Nordic tug built in 2009. It's named the Stickeen after a book by John Muir. We rented the boat from Auke Adventures in Juneau, and I would highly recommend them to anyone interested in an adventure like this. My sister Megan and I grew up on an island outside of Juneau, and we're very familiar with boats. In fact, Megan now drives commercial tugboats on the Columbia River. Since we both know what we're doing, we could operate this boat ourselves with no captain or crew needed. This is what's known as a bareboat charter. I would like to mention that this video is not sponsored by Auke Adventures, but I did get a sponsorship from EIOT Club for Wi-Fi service along the way. So we're out here in the middle of Chatham Strait. Well, not in the middle, but we're out in Chatham Strait in Southeast Alaska, cruising along on our rented Nordic tug. And to get us internet while we're out here in Alaska, I'm using this little hotspot that I've showed before. And this is sponsored by EIOT Club. They sent me the hotspot a few videos back, and they sent me the SIM card that's in this, and it's been working really well. We've got, we've got 4G, we've got Wi-Fi here, and we can get on the internet. We've got about 7 people on the boat, all able to check their email, check websites. So that thing has been working great, and the EIOT Club SIM card has been working really well. Now, it doesn't work in every situation in every area. When we tuck back into some of these coves and some of these inlets off the main channel, then we do lose some service because the cell towers are up on some of these mountain peaks off in the distance. And the cell phone towers don't cover every area, but through a lot of the trip so far, this guy has been working. And I'll throw some links down below to EIOT Club. You can check those out for yourself, and thank you again to EIOT Club for sponsoring this video and part of the trip. It's really been beneficial. I'm not just saying that because they sponsored it. It is actually really helpful to have that available, have Wi-Fi here on the boat. So this rental went really smoothly, and Steve from Auke Adventures was great. He walked us through the entire boat and described all the systems that we needed to know about, all the quirks and oddities, and anything we'd need to do along the way.
So the first thing that we're going to start with is the dinghy up top, okay? So the dinghy has this remote controller here, okay? The other thing up here is we've got a 12-volt freezer.
Okay.
You've got your coolers here. I don't have them strapped down yet for you guys. Okay. People use them for fish.
Yeah.
Do I want to center this first?
You can center it.
Okay. Toggle down?
Yep.
Okay.
Now you're still in hard to port.
Okay. He had a lot of great options for the rental as well, like kayaks, fishing poles, crab pots, and other gear. I won't say exactly what we paid since we split it several ways and the prices do change year to year, but I'll include some links to the Auke Adventures website if you're interested in checking them out for yourself. There are some other rental places around Southeast Alaska, but these guys had some of the best boats when it came to size, design, and reliability. Steve was also really helpful with gear loading and transport before and after the trip. We were able to use his van to make Costco runs, which really saved on car rental or taxi fees in a town where those things are pretty expensive. One benefit to renting a boat instead of owning your own is that all the maintenance and repairs are taken care of. We didn't have to worry about changing oil, checking belts, fluids, any of that boring stuff. We didn't have to pay dock fees, storage fees, winterize or unwinterize anything, scrape barnacles off the hull, or worry about keeping 4 feet of snow off the roof in a Juneau winter. We could just drive around and enjoy the trip. I have personally owned a boat in Southeast Alaska before. It took me 2 entire summers from when I got the boat to when I could actually get out on the water and go cruising, so I know how long it takes to get a boat up and running. Out of curiosity, I did check Juneau Craigslist, and I could have probably bought a boat this size for about the same price as the total rental, but it would not have been ready to go, and it definitely wouldn't have been as nice or as comfortable. When I owned my own 24-foot sailboat in Alaska back in the early 2000s, I had all kinds of things go wrong just due to the age of the boat, due to my redneck repairs. Renting a boat that's in turnkey condition makes for a much less stressful and a much more relaxing vacation. So, how well did 7 people fit onto a 42-foot boat? This one was configured with a large forward stateroom that had 4 bunks, or it could be used as a single large V-berth with storage in the upper bunks. There was a secondary stateroom that had a double bed and an upper bunk and could theoretically sleep 3 people. The dining table could also become a double bed, and there was an extra bunk up in the wheelhouse. So in theory, there were beds for 10 people. We actually planned on 9 people originally, but 2 had to drop out last minute. I would say 9 would have been much more cozy and there would have been less privacy, but 7 really wasn't bad. Okay, I know I've been breezing through the boat and not really showing you a good overview of what things look like, so let's do one more 360 tour of all the areas. We'll start up here in the wheelhouse, so this is basically the driver's position of the boat. We have all of the controls up front here. We have a compass shelf in front where you can set equipment and binoculars. We have this couch that turns into a bed in the back for the captain. Going down the stairs here, we'll breeze through the salon and galley really quickly and just go downstairs, and we will look at the smaller stateroom on the left. So this has a double berth down below and a single bed up above. It'd be great for children. It does technically fit 3 adults. Continuing down the companionway, we have the forward stateroom with the big V berth and then 2 bunks up above. So this could either be 1 big bed down below, or it can be 4 smaller beds essentially. So that has its own private bathroom or head, and this is a pretty decent bathroom. It's got a decent sized shower, which is a real upgrade from a lot of boats or even RVs that I've seen where you're just standing next to the toilet to shower. There are a couple closets in here too. And then heading back down the hallway or companionway, we have the second head. This is a little bit smaller, but it still has a decent sized shower. These might be a little cramped if you're claustrophobic at all. You might not like using these bathrooms. We've got a little kind of office or charting area here in the hallway, and then we are back into the salon area. I had to film this in a couple tries because with 7 people it was hard to find a time when we weren't filling up the room, but this was our sort of main living area at the rear of the boat, and you can see how we've expanded to fill every corner with laundry and gear. Moving out to the back door, we've got our back deck where you hang out for fishing. We have a fish cleaning table, a little swim step area, and you can troll for salmon from back here or jig for halibut when we're at anchor. Then heading upstairs onto the top deck, this is kind of a utility and storage area. We've got our coolers, we've got our auxiliary boat or dinghy, we've got another little cooler, and we've got kayaks on the roof of the wheelhouse. And then the front deck is really just a nice spot to hang out and look at the passing scenery, look at the wildlife, look at the mountains and islands. There was some great scenery on this trip, and we did not get as much rain as I expected, so it was nice to get out on the deck and catch some sun, catch some scenery, and just hang out here. There was plenty of storage space inside the boat for all of our gear, and we did bring a lot of gear. I had a ton of camera equipment, a drone, laptop, radio stuff, mesh-tastic stuff, plus some emergency gear in addition to the emergency gear the boat came with. Everyone had extra rain gear, rubber boots, extra town shoes, and enough clothes for over a week with no laundry. We had some of our own fishing gear, plus stuff that was left over from prior rentals on the boat, and Steve did include the fishing poles, so we didn't have to bring those. The fuel supply on this boat was great. It had 600 gallons of diesel available, and we used less than 200 over 9 days. We kept our speed to about 8 knots at a reasonable RPM. The boat could go faster, but it was much less efficient at higher speeds, so we just didn't push it. Up on deck, we had the inflatable dinghy, which could carry 4 or 5 people and had a little crane to launch it, so that was really convenient. And there were also 2 kayaks. We generally didn't have everyone on shore at once unless we were tied to a dock, so the number of auxiliary boats worked out pretty well. Some people preferred to stay on board and fish or read or nap while others went poking around on the beach. Once or twice we made multiple trips to get everybody somewhere, but it usually wasn't necessary. Inside the boat, the main social area was the salon and galley with enough seating for everyone. There were a couple extra chairs available, and some of us brought small camp chairs. We watched a few movies after dinner in the evenings, and it was a nice space for that. The kitchen or galley area was definitely compact, but it had plenty of supplies, and it was laid out pretty well. The oven was a weird little microwave convection combo, but Rachel managed to bake 2 cakes in it during the trip. We had a generator for running large appliances in the morning, like the coffee maker or the microwave, although we could really only use one of those devices at a time. All the smaller appliances ran from batteries, so we could operate things like the fridge freezer whenever. The stovetop was propane, and we also had a propane grill and a crab cooker. For my Midwestern viewers, a crab cooker is just a turkey fryer that you fill with water and seafood. Upstairs in the wheelhouse, there was a big captain's chair. It made it a little hard to move around. We could apparently adjust this chair forward and back, but we never quite figured out how that worked, so we just ended up squeezing around it. The bunk up here doubled as a couch, and there was an extra seat facing inwards, so most of us could hang out there all at once if we wanted to see something. With a door on each side of the wheelhouse, it was also easy to pop out on deck to take pictures. The fresh water supply did start to run low by the end of the trip. There was an opportunity to refill the tank at one stop along the way. We did buy some bottled water and a Brita filter, although we ended up not really using the filter. If you do a trip this long with this many people, you'll either want to refill water along the way and or really ration your showers. The engine room was under the main salon. We didn't really need to get down here during the trip. There were some chairs stored in here, but we basically never opened the hatch to it. There was also storage space under the back deck that was a convenient place to stuff trash bags. Some people put their trash bags up on the roof, but we were worried about ravens getting into them, so we put them down on the storage lazarette. Up on the bow, the anchor chain was 300 feet, and it was all chain, which is great for Southeast Alaska. It did make for slightly more noise in the forward cabin at night. If the wind shifted, you could hear the chain rattling along on the bottom, but it did make for a more secure hold, and it let us anchor in some great spots without worrying. We found a lot of cool places to anchor at night, as well as a few spots with docks we could tie up to. Overall, this was a great trip and a great boat. All the mechanical equipment was reliable and easy to use. There were some features we didn't end up using, like the autopilot and this weird steering joystick thing, but other features like the bow thruster were super handy. This was the first time I've driven a boat with a bow thruster, and it was great for docking and maneuvering. The group size really wasn't bad for this length of trip, and everyone is still friends with each other at the end. I would definitely rent from Auke Adventures again. We can't afford it every year, but it was a trip I would love to do in the future. The rental went great, they were super easy to work with, and everything was really smooth. Again, these Nordic tugs are solid, dependable boats, and they're ideal for Alaska or almost anywhere else I can think of. They're well laid out, there's a ton of thought and consideration put into the design, and you can really tell they are made by and for boat owners. I would give the Nordic tug 5 out of 5 stars, would rent again, and I would give Auke Adventures 5 out of 5 stars, would rent from them again. I am not sponsored by them, but I really do think they were a fantastic rental company, very fun to work with, and a very cool experience. Again, I've been posting videos about the trip, and I will be posting some more after this one comes out because we have 9 days of video to go through, almost a terabyte of content from various cameras, drones, underwater cameras, all kinds of fun stuff. We saw bears, we saw whales, we saw other wildlife, we went to hot springs, we went to waterfalls, we went to glaciers, we went all kinds of places that I had never been before, even though I grew up in the area. And even though we started in my hometown, we went all over the place and we saw a bunch of new things as well as some old familiar things. So it really was a blast. If you want to see all of those videos, then make sure to go back and check out the prior ones in the Alaska playlist here, and make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss new videos on this subject. Finally, thank you to everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.